Okay. We're going into the Friday, or we're going into the weekend, rather. It's a Friday show. Appreciate y'all joining me. We've had a pretty good week. Really happy with what we've brought to you over the week. I think that we have some really, really relevant details on what's going on in the Middle East, while focusing on the relevancy of what's happening with the Epstein files, the 50 pages of FBI interviews, notes, emails that were deleted in response to Roger Sullenberger's reporting about two very, very credible accusations against Donald Trump of abuse. We brought it to you, and all of this is progressing. All of it is progressing. And we talked ad nauseum about Kristi Noem. We said she was going to get fired time and time again. She's essentially fired, but not really. And we'll get to that as well. All of this has developed. But I want to bring you some details. We're going to start with this War Powers Resolution. But it's not a war. But Pete Hegseth and some others are saying it's a war, but it's not a war. How can we have war power resolutions on something that's not even a war? It's not a war, right? I'm telling you, the Republicans are tripping all over themselves. They're trying to do cleanup work for this administration in real time. And the biggest mouths, the biggest personalities, the biggest presences, these guys in the administration, the big voices, Trump, Hegseth, they just can't get out of their own way at all. They just have to be as bigly, strongly, as quickly as possible at all times. And so, yeah, they keep tripping all over themselves. The Republicans, they get in front of a mic, they try to clean it up. Hegseth gets in front of a mic, he blows it all up. Listen to this.
Then we may have casualties. That often happens in war. We're doing very well on the war front.
We set the terms of this war from start to finish.
9,000 Americans have been able to leave the region since the start of this war.
Nobody should classify this as war. It is combat operations.
I wouldn't call this a war as much as I'd call it a conflict that should be very short and sweet.
I don't know if this is technically a war.
We have declared war. So if we haven't declared war, then I don't see that. The president hasn't asked us to declare war yet, but they have declared war on us.
Do you consider it a war?
It's a significant military operation.
Strategic strikes are not war.
They have declared war on us. I don't believe in the semantics. We've talked about the language this morning. We're not at war right now. We're 4 days in to a very specific, clear mission, an operation.
I love it. You know, it's crazy. You listen to those senators. I mean, Tommy Tuberville's on board. I mean, people that don't get the optics sometimes, like Lindsey and Tommy, they got it immediately. It's funny. The Senate tries to cover Trump's ass. The Senate leadership, they are way more savvy politically than Donald Trump is, period. And time again, John Thune and Senate Republicans try to clean up his mess, massage his wording, justify, contort themselves in all sorts of positions to try to help this administration and its messaging and how the American people ingest what they're saying and try to keep the administration from stumbling and bumbling and fumbling their way into, violations and breaking the law. And they just Hegseth and Rubio and Trump just blow it all up, literally. They just blow it all up. Crazy. And even after all of that, all of those sound bites, Mike Johnson once again tried to get out and clean this up. It's crazy. They just can't get on the same page. This was at, what time was this? This morning? Or last night? Okay, so this was at 7 at night after all of those sound bites previous.
Well, we just had an important series of votes on the House floor. As you know, the War Powers Resolution failed. That is the right result. We are not at war. We have no intention of being at war. The President and the Department of Defense have made this very clear. The Department of War has made it very clear. This is a limited operation. It's an operation that's limited in its scope and duration. It has a very clear mission, and that mission is nearly accomplished by all...
Shut up. save the military propaganda for Pete Hegseth, okay? Mike, you're out of your lane right there, so just stop right there. But are you getting their little, massaging now? Are you getting the triple half gainer that they're going and contorting themselves into now? War powers resolutions aren't necessary because we're not in a war. Regardless of what your president, your defense secretary, and your secretary of state are telling you in real time, regardless of what those idiots are saying, we're not at war. So this war power resolution, it's moot. It's nonsensical, right? And that's what Double Agent Fetterman told us yesterday. Double Agent Fetterman told us this is ridiculous. We're not even at war. I mean, we're just a few days in. Let it breathe a little bit. Yes, Scotty.
My favorite one that he said, I think it was on Wednesday or Tuesday, was we're not at war. They're at war with us. They struck us first. They attacked 3 of our bases, and they're at war with us. But we're not at war with them. They're at war with us.
That's awesome. You're taking 2 lies and forming it like Voltron into a Voltron of lies, right? We take our we struck proactively to be defensive. We didn't start this. They were gonna start this. You take that lie and you mix it in with we're not actually at war lie, like forming a super lie, capable of defeating any logic. Awesome. Just great. Thank John Fetterman. Well done. Double Agent Fetterman. Love that guy. Love that guy. Man, did we get duped. Pennsylvanians, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That was an emotional race. How could we see this coming? The dude was suffering from health ailments, and it was just a dramatic race that he barely won, and we thought we had a great victory. We were all duped. Pennsylvanians, I do not blame you for Special Agent John Fetterman. But here we are with this guy. Here we are. All right. So, Mike Johnson's framing it as we're not even at war. War power resolutions are ridiculous. We're not even at war. I'm going to tell you what this really is. This failure of war power resolution, this failure of the resolution, I'm going to tell you what it really is. And by the way, it went 212 to 219. It failed by 7 votes. 2 Republicans, Thomas Massie and Warren Davidson, they voted with the Democrats on the war power resolution. 4 Democrats, Jared Golden, there's his name again. Every single time you turn around, this centrist is voting with the Republicans. Jared Golden, Henry Cuellar, Greg Landsman, and Juan Vargas, they all voted with the Republicans against the war power resolution. Okay, that's in the House. That already had failed the Senate. This is in the House, right? We knew this was going nowhere. Even if it passed the House and the Senate, it goes to Don's desk. Don vetoes it. Now you need 2/3 in the House and 2/3 in the Senate. That's a pipe dream. Democrats, you know what their argument is. Lack of information, lack of a timeline, lack of asking for any type of permission or involving Congress at all. The Republicans, for the most part, they are all on board, right? For now. Because some of them have raised the prospect of boots on the ground. Okay. Now, if this doesn't work out, if the math on our missiles don't work out, and there's a whole bunch more Shahed drones than there are Patriots, Tomahawks, and Thads, and that math starts to not work out quickly, this will change. The operation will change. Boots on the ground is definitely a possibility. As Pete Hegseth, when asked about it, refused to rule it out. Well, there's none now, but I'm not going to sit here and talk about what could be. Okay. So, boots on the ground could be. And Republicans in both the House and the Senate are bringing it up. So what I'm telling you is give it just a little more time, and their dissent will surely grow. I'm telling you right now, we put boots on the ground, and you see a lot more than just 6 dead U.S. servicemen, like 60 dead or 600 dead, and their dissent will surely grow. Let this fester. This was a gesture. This was a statement. This was never going to pass, but it lays the groundwork. It lays the groundwork. It even gives Republicans a little bit of wiggle room. Should this circle back around, they can say, look, We voted no on the original war power measures. Not really clear if we were at war yet. Looks like it might have been defensive, and we didn't want to limit the president's ability to protect American lives. But this next one, now that we've got 600 dead servicemen inside Iran, now that that's happened, oh, wow. I might just vote for some kind of resolution. He didn't ask permission for all of that now, did he? That's something different. That's something different. Now, you've heard what he said. He said that, Mike Johnson said that it would empower our enemies, this war power resolution. He said, you know, Congress has a constitutional right to exercise its oversight authority, and we will, but we also have a duty and an obligation not to undercut our own national security. Oh, okay. Okay. Now, on the back end of Congress getting overstepped again. And by the way, I'm going to tell you, I said I'll tell you what this really is. What this really is, this is all the permission he's going to ask. Because that vote, 219 to 212 to 219, that's probably where a vote would land for articles of war, right? If the president asked for articles of war out of the House and Senate, that might be around where the numbers sit after the vote is over. 219 for, 212 against. Maybe somewhere around there. This is all the permission he's going to ask. Effectively, you had your chance right here and now, Congress, to say no to this. It's effectively the same as Don going to you originally and asking for permission. Probably around the same lines. This is all the permission he will ask. All right? So we might as well just cool it with the he stepped over Congress. Yes, he did. Yes, he violated our Constitution if we are, as he says, at war. Yes, he did. Absolutely. Chalk it up to yet another thing you can impeach this guy for. But we might as well focus on other areas, because this is the permission he would be seeking. We're not going to stop you. We're not going to stop you in the House, and we're not going to stop you in the Senate. On the back end of these failed resolutions, the Pentagon, and this has been confirmed by House Appropriations Committee Chairman Tom Cole, the Pentagon is about to ask for supplemental funding from Congress to wage this war that's not a war. Okay, so let's get it straight. They have no answers for Congress on logistics, you know, where they plan to go with this. Didn't inform them prior, not 48 hours prior. They just did what they wanted. Very little details, very little answers. They didn't ask for permission. Like I said, they didn't give us a timeline, but now they want more of our money. Now they want more of our money to conduct this military operation that's not a war, or a war that's not a military operation. They want more money. They want more money. Yeah. Articles of war are a simple majority in the House and the Senate. Simple majority. Though that is him, this is Don's version of asking for articles of war. I'm going to do what I want to do. And then you go write up a little resolution, right? You go write your resolution and you vote on it. And there's your permission. There's my permission right there. Thanks. I'm going to go back to what I was doing now. Crazy how the Republicans in the House, and you know, Luna and some of these others, Mike Johnson and Luna and others in the House, they're trying to clean up this mess. The Senate has been trying to clean up their mess. They've been trying to, you know, massage these policies to make them more palatable to us, and the administration just will not get out of its own way. That is not bigly, strongly, quickly. Not at all. So you've got these idiots contradicting themselves in real time. In real time. But we said these war power resolutions, it was symbolic, but just give it a little more time.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett breaks things because someone has to.
Okay. All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. So, looks like Russia has been helping Iran quite a bit since this conflict war has begun. Oh, yeah. Yep. Russia's been providing them with very, very high-tech, high-level intelligence and imagery, locations of warships and aircraft that has been effective in strikes against us. Russia helping Iran. This shouldn't be a big surprise. We have talked about Russia and Iran's relationship, along with China and North Korea and Venezuela. They all had a very close relationship because they all ran sanctioned oil together, mixed their oil, used the shadow fleet to send their oil to each other. Their security concerns, their border concerns, they share them with each other. An anti-American imperialist stance out of all of them. And they have acted accordingly over the years. So this shouldn't be a huge surprise. Now, Russia, when posed with questions about supporting Iran in this conflict, they refused to comment on that. But they did say that this war should end immediately. How ironic. And they called it, you want even more irony out of Russia, even more complete lack of perspective out of Russia? They called this an unprovoked act of armed aggression. That's almost comical. Honestly. I mean, you got some balls, Russia. You got some balls. As the Ukraine war heads into what, year 5? 1 million of your soldiers dead. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians dead. And you have the balls to accuse anybody else of an unprovoked act of aggression. Crazy. Freaking crazy. Now, the CIA, Pentagon, they all declined to comment on this, okay? It's important to understand. Now, Hegseth, he did comment. He said, quote, Russia's not really a factor here. He said Russia's not really a factor in this. So he doesn't mind coming out real quick and giving you a quick little lie. Because he knows, as well as the Washington Post and other news outlets, that is flat out not true. Russia is very much a factor in this. Right now, Russia is very much a factor in this. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. Iran has very few satellites. They have very few military satellites. Satellites that can give imagery in real time on a large scale. They don't have it. Very little. Very little. They have no military satellite constellations, which are groupings of military satellites that all work with each other to provide like times 10 the amount of information at times 10 the speed, over times 10 the area. It's a lot of intelligence. Guess who does have military satellite constellations in droves? Russia. And they have been providing all of their satellite imagery to Iran. All of it. All of it. Some military experts in Russia, one Harvard professor who studies Iran and Russia's relationship specifically said this. This woman, Nicole Grajewski, she said this. There has been a high level of sophistication in the Iranian retaliatory strikes, both in what Tehran has targeted and in its ability, in some cases, to overwhelm U.S. and allied defenses. They're getting through air defenses, noting that the quality of Iran's strikes appear to have improved even since its 12-day war with Israel in June. Massive improvements since that 12-day war. Massive improvements. Why else, other than just being friends, would Russia do this? It's a little bit of get back. It's a little bit of payback. I don't have to sit here and tell you to what extent the U.S. has supported Ukraine in that war. Right? Planes, missile batteries, intelligence, training, supplies. We've given it all in billions. Russia knows it and is salty as hell about it. This is payback. This is payback. Yeah, they do have a relationship. Iran and Russia have a great relationship. They have a military cooperation. They both are in high levels of production of the Shahed 136 drones, which is being used to pummel our allies in the Middle East right now. Yeah, they've been producing, both of them, and they've been sharing it. Before this conflict, Iran has been producing it and giving it to Russia to use against Ukraine. Now it's the other way around. Now Russia is providing support to Iran by giving them some of their Shahed drones and upping their production. It's payback. Plain and simple, it's payback. You want to help the Ukrainians stand up to our assaults? We're going to help the Iranians stand up to yours. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Also, there's this. Couple other things. One, the Kremlin loves this conflict, by the way. They would love to see Iran last longer than military experts foresee them lasting. They love it. It provides a huge distraction from their war. And if you're a country that's trying to export or import through the Strait of Hormuz, that's not happening right now. 20% of the global oil market runs through the Strait of Hormuz. Well, if you can't get your oil from Iran, or you can't sell it or get it from any of those countries in and around the strait, you're going to have to go somewhere else, aren't you? This is going to turn into straight, flat, direct, more oil profits for Russia. So they put more money in their pocket, and the world isn't looking at their little war with Ukraine for at least a while. This works out for Russia on quite a few levels, and I'll tell you another level it works out for them. They are losing allies. Their allies are dropping like flies. Okay? You've got the Syrian uprising. Bashar al-Assad, he was a huge Russian ally. He was a Russian puppet in Syria. He's gone. Who else was a Russian ally? Who else had deep military and economic ties to Russia? Nicolas Maduro. Gone. Now the Ayatollah Khomeini. Gone. Their allies are dropping like flies. They have to preserve some of their global influence. They have to try. They have to try. And they are trying. They are trying. They are very interested in who takes over, by the way, in Iran. The Russians are very interested. Everybody is, for sure. But who takes over the leadership now that Ayatollah Ali Khomeini is dead? It is paramount to the Russians and the United States. Paramount. We talked about the meetings in the war room, right, with Ratcliffe and Hegseth and Rubio and J.D. Vance, Dan Kane, where they talked about when we kill the Ayatollah, who's going to take over next? Who are we going to support? What plan should we go with? There was plan A, let his son possibly, or another strong-armed, fundamental supreme leader type, like Ali. Possibly his son, Mojtaba. Then there was option 2, foment insurrection, have the Iranian people rise up. We'll help them by dismantling the apparatus that held them down, the IRGC and the Basij militia. We'll dismantle them, the ones that were killing your protesters, suppressing rallies, arresting people en masse. We'll take them out. You do the rest, Iranian people. And then hopefully you would pick a U.S.-friendly opposition leader, like the Shah's son or Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who reportedly is still walking around alive. That was option 2 or B. And option 3 was maybe we prop up the IRGC and one of their military leaders would be friendly to our position, and maybe we can get inroads in the Strait of Hormuz and, kind of hold control over the people in this transitional period using the resources of the IRGC and the Basaj militia. It looks like they discarded that idea with extreme prejudice. When they struck the headquarters of the IRGC and struck an IRGC naval base. So it looks like they went with option B. Russia, I promise you, would like to go with option A. And Trump acknowledged that Mojtaba Khomeini, son of the assassinated supreme leader, is the most likely successor right now. He's saying it's looking like it might be the son, the fundamentalist, the religious leader. Trump saying that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. I promise you that's Russia's pick. That's Russia's pick. No doubt. Let's keep this relationship rolling. We have very similar interests. Trump saying unacceptable. We've gone with option B. Didn't you get that reporting out of the Washington Post? We're going with the opposition. So, Mojtaba.
Breaking news, breaking rules, breaking through. Back to Brett Breaks Things.
All right, because this isn't getting pushed. I'm telling you, I'm about to get into some stuff that isn't getting pushed, at least on the television network. Some major news outlets are pushing some of this stuff, but not hard. And the TV networks are not touching it. And I think they're scared. I really do think a lot of these outlets are scared to touch a couple of the stories we're going to get into. I think they're scared. I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to get right into it and accuse this administration of a few things. I have nothing to lose. I'm not scared. So I'm just going to get right into it. And I know the president watches the show. So here I go, Mr. President. I'm just kidding. Look, Trump said a bunch of things about Khomeini's son. How it's unacceptable. You know, he thought he had killed all of them. He didn't even know who the next successor for a little while was going to be because he thought he killed everybody. And the Supreme Leadership Council, they are putting off the announcement. And I think, and Scott was saying as well, they don't want him taken out. They don't want him trying to find out exactly where he is right now so they can take him out. Right? If we don't name the successor, you can't kill the successor. They can, yeah, exactly. They can guess. I don't think Hegseth's above guessing and just flattening some blocks to possibly get the next successor. Now, I said evidence of us going with Plan B, the opposition leader. Evidence of that is in the strikes on the IRGC. IRGC headquarters and an IRGC naval base. Now, I mentioned this. I stopped for a second and I said how absolutely tragic and terrible it is. And then I kept it moving because we needed details. And I said we need details. And I kept it moving. Well, now we've got some details. On February 28th, the United States struck an IRGC naval base. Okay? Now, through new satellite images, social media posts, and verified video, it looks like it was not an errant missile. There's a few possibilities of what it could have been, but it's looking like an errant missile, one that went off course. That's not what happened here. As that strike included an elementary school and, according to Iran right now, and it has not been independently verified as of yet, 175 people were killed. The vast majority of them were children. Okay, so they struck a naval base and they took out a school and killed 175 in the school. We'll see what the tally is once independent, verification has taken place. But right now it's 175. Questions were asked. The U.S. forces, they released an official statement. And in that statement, I'm going to save you the whole thing. In that statement, it suggested that they were responsible, according to the details they gave about the strike. Carolyn Levitt was asked about it. She said, when asked, did we conduct an airstrike on a school? She said, not that we know of, adding the Department of War is investigating the matter. I don't know how much I believe you on both counts. On both counts. And the evidence is starting to mount. Not just, I mean, we're starting to get to the point past, did the U.S. strike them? And we are now at the point in this story where we need to ask, how the hell did this happen? Because it's looking like we did it, regardless of what our lying press secretary has no problem getting in front of a microphone and saying. U.S. officials in the area have neither confirmed nor denied any responsibility. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said an investigation is underway. Nadav Shoshani, she's a Israeli military official. She said that as of now, he said as of now, he was not aware of any Israeli military operation in that area at that time. Okay, so officials don't know nothing about nothing. Pete Hegseth doesn't know diddly about squat. Israel doesn't know nothing. Nobody knows nothing. Nobody wants to say anything about this at all. They're hoping it gets buried. They're hoping it goes away. It's not going away. The New York Times, they took it upon themselves to go hire a company called Planet Labs. Planet Labs has their own independent satellite imagery across the globe. So the New York Times went and they hired Planet Labs. And from Planet Labs, they acquired not just current satellite imagery, high-tech, high level, but a history of satellite imagery in that area. First, the current satellite imagery that they got from Planet Labs. The imagery shows that 6 Revolutionary Guard buildings were hit in that base. 4 were completely destroyed. 2 had precision impact points, as did the school. The imagery shows that these were all precision impact strikes. Precision. A national security analyst who used to serve in the U.S. Air Force and used to advise the Pentagon on civilian harm, an expert, ex-military expert. His name's Wes J. Bryant. He took a look at the New York Times request. He took a look at this Planet Labs imagery, and he said this. All the buildings, including the school, had been hit with picture-perfect targeted strikes. The most likely explanation was that the school had been a target misidentification, that forces had attacked the site without realizing that it might have had large numbers of civilians inside. Okay, let's run with that then. A target misidentification. Not an errant missile. Not an errant missile. They're saying they misidentified the school. They misidentified, this man's saying they misidentified the target. There is evidence of that. There is evidence of that. Images from 2013 show the buildings that are now the school were indeed part of the military base. Those buildings were part of the base in 2013. In 2016, the imagery shows that they began construction to separate the school from the base. Then they built things like soccer fields, recreation areas, things you'd commonly see in schools. Okay. This is totally unacceptable. And when I say totally unacceptable, I don't just mean as a point of rhetoric. I mean, we as the American people and our lawmakers absolutely cannot accept what happened here. We can't accept it. One of two things happened here. One of two things happened here. One, our U.S. intelligence, in such a gosh darn hurry, to get these Iranian strikes going. And Israel in such a damn hurry, and Mossad and the CIA, everybody in such a damn hurry to get this going. They mishandled, dropped, mistakenly read, didn't update, didn't do their due diligence on their military targets. Because they were lackadaisical, unprofessional, unmotivated in their efforts to properly identify military targets from civilian targets. 175 children are dead. At its most benign, this was a serious mishandling of intelligence that led to multiple civilian deaths at our hands. That means that we will see more of this. That means we will see more of this. What other pieces of intelligence have been mishandled? How many other civilian targets are right now misrepresented as military targets as we speak? So either one, our intelligence failed everyone badly, and this was completely avoidable, and it will continue, or two, God help us, or two, we did this on purpose. I am not going to sit here and go hard at option number two. I'm not going to go hard. But just know, if it was option number two, that this will continue. Either way, this is going to continue. God forbid they did this on purpose. Because then you can elevate who we associate Donald Trump with. Even here on this show, we pushed back on extreme, comparisons, like to Trump to Hitler or Trump to other fascists or people who, okay, we have avoided all of that. But if they did this on purpose, you can go ahead and include Trump and this administration along with other brutal regimes that do not give a crap about humanitarian concerns or violations of war. When Pete Hegseth stands in front of stages and in crowds and our admirals and generals and says, no more of this rules of engagement crap. This isn't the end of this story. This isn't the end of this story. And I hope this story gets picked up on the Hill. I hope somebody has the balls to run with this and try to hold somebody accountable, because this is not acceptable. Not acceptable. Period. Now do you see why I theorize that the major news outlets might not want to go with that so hard? Why the president and his administration, they might react demonstrably to something like this, to accusations like this, to evidence like this. They're already lying about it. And when the lies just aren't enough, they tell you we're having an investigation. Do you trust Pete Hegseth to give a crap about 175 children's lives in Iran? Do you think that's a priority of his? Who's leading this investigation? Anybody independent? Any watchdog groups? Just you, Pete? Just you, Pete Hegseth? The most incompetent Secretary of Defense we've ever had? You're going to lead this investigation?
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. Breaking news, breaking rules, breaking through. Back to Brett Breaks Things.
Okay, stories that aren't getting traction. Stories that I feel some of the mainstream media outlets are absolutely terrified to get into. Okay, let's keep it going. Let's get into it. India does this exercise. It's called the Milan exercise. All right, they do this exercise. It's biennial. They do this exercise with a number of other countries, okay? A number of other countries. 74 countries go to India. 74 countries involving 18 foreign warships. They all go to India for these Milan exercises. And at these Milan exercises, okay, they do like maneuvering together. They have their international fleet review. It runs from the 15th to February 15th to the 25th, okay? Runs 10 days. They do these maneuvers together. They all get to know each other. The Indian Defense Minister himself presides over the opening ceremony. The theme was United Through Oceans, a United Through Oceans theme. The Defense Minister of India, he gives a presentation. All of the captains and the high-level, high-ranking military personnel in attendance, they all shake hands. They get to know each other. They drink rum in the cabin with Dreyfus and Roy Scheider. They sing bawdy sailor tales. You get the idea. You get the idea. It's this nice, joyous affair that they do. India does. It's a joyous affair. Iran sent the IRIS Dina. The IRIS Dina. Okay, it's a warship. It's a warship. They sent it. They were a part of this. We also sent, we sent a plane. We sent a plane that is commonly used in conjunction with, vessels. We sent a plane. We were supposed to send the USS Pinckney, but we, at the last minute, without explaining, we didn't send the USS Pinckney. We didn't send our warship. We sent one plane to the festivities. Okay. When it was over, I want to make sure I'm real clear here. When it was over, the Iranian ship, the IRIS Dina, left when it was over. And just outside of the area where this, exercise and gathering, just outside the area where this gathering was in the Indian Ocean, the IRIS Dina was sunk by a U.S. Mark 48 torpedo that was fired from a U.S. submarine. We have video, and we have Pete Hegseth's statement about our submarine sinking an Iranian ship that just days before we had been celebrating this exercise with. Here's what Hegseth said, and here's what it looked like. Give me 1 second. Okay, well, here's what he said.
Their Navy, not a factor. Pick your adjective, it is no more. In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that war,
now there's the video of the ship
War Department
getting sunk.
We are fighting to win.
Okay. All right. So the Iranian ship left 3 days later in the Indian Ocean. It was sunk. He's sitting there bragging that they thought they were safe. Yes, they did think they were safe. Look, and I don't want this being spun into I'm apologizing for Iran in any way. This is more a statement on our behavior. And I want you to ingest this how you see fit. I want to find out, when you roll this around in your mouth a little bit, you think about it, how does it taste to you? Yeah, they thought they were safe because they had sent a skeleton crew on a mostly detoothed warship that was there on a ceremonial exercise. They were invited by India. They were invited by India. Now, this is a big problem for India. I mean, Iran is furious. The Iranian Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi said, "The U.S. has perpetrated an atrocity at sea. 2,000 miles away from Iran's shore, frigate Dina, a guest of India's Navy, carrying 130 sailors, was struck in international waters without warning. Mark my words, the U.S. will come to bitterly regret the precedent it has set." Yeah, there was 130 soldiers on that boat. 130 soldiers. 87 bodies were retrieved by the Indian Navy. 87 bodies. They saved 32 survivors, and 10 sailors are still unaccounted for. So essentially 97 dead sailors. On an Iranian vessel that was, for the most part, de-armed and had a skeleton crew that was at a ceremonial exercise that they were invited to by the Indian government, the Indian Navy. Okay. This is a problem for India. This is a problem for India. Right now, this is going on in India. This is a big deal in the Indian Congress. Lawmakers there are saying similar things that lawmakers here would be saying about this. And they're particularly critical of Modi, their prime minister, Narendra Modi, because he isn't saying jack squat about this. He's barely mentioning it. He's not condemning anybody on either side. And the congressmen in India are livid. They're going crazy in their own way. I'm not going to give you what all of them say. Like, I don't give you what all the congressmen here say about a particular issue, but I'll give you a little bit, like I usually do. The conflict has reached our backyard with an Iranian warship sunk in the Indian Ocean, yet the Prime Minister has said nothing. At a moment like this, we need a steady hand at the wheel. Instead, India has a compromised Prime Minister who has surrendered our strategic autonomy. Okay, this is a big problem for India. This is a big problem for India. One, they have cultivated a very precarious, partnership, not only with Washington, but with Tehran. They have been very friendly with Tehran. Very friendly. Why? Because 40% of the country's imports come from the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians just said anybody who tries to go through the Strait of Hormuz right now is going to get set on fire. Let me tell you something. It's one thing for your exports not to be able to go where they need to go, right? That affects your GDP. That affects your bottom line. It's a whole nother deal if 40% of your oil imports can't get to your country. That's a bigger problem. You think you see oil spike now, oil prices, gas prices spike now? Wait till the Indian oil companies get a hold of these people. Indian gas prices are going to go through the damn roof if they can't get 40% of their oil imports. 40%. Think about if 40% of the U.S.'s gas couldn't get here. 40%. This is a big problem. All of this is a big problem. They have spent years, by the way, legitimizing this little Milan conference, these maneuvers, this goodwill exchange. They have been doing it for a while, and it has proven to be fruitful. And they have strengthened not only their relationship with the United States, but with Iran and other countries in their part of the globe that there could potentially be tensions with. This has eased some of those tensions. This has been a good thing. You can throw that out the window now. How many of U.S.'s potential enemies are going to show up now? We literally blew up everything they had built in conjunction with this Milan maneuvers. We blew it up. And I'll tell you another thing we're blowing up. Iranian vessels. We've sunk 20 Iranian vessels so far. Yeah, we're at war. No big deal, Brett. Here's the problem. There are a number of Iranian vessels right now in the Indian Ocean, far away from the theater of operations. Far, far away from the theater of operations right now. I mean, we would use that term if we were at war, but we're not at war. It's a military operation. It's a maneuver. It's not a war, right? Right, Don, or Mike, or Rubio, or Mullins, or Tuberville, or whoever else you ask. It's going to change every time you ask somebody different in the Republican Party what exactly this is. But whatever it is, these sinkings in the Indian Ocean, that's far away from the theater of operations, okay? Far. And they've got boats in there. And India's got a big damn problem on its hands. Big problem from this sinking. And I just want to give you a little context. How this sinking is being viewed. People are now starting to view this like the last time a submarine was confirmed to have sunk a ship. The last time this happened was the Royal Navy attack sub the HMS Conqueror sunk two Argentinian ships. Sunk one Argentinian ship over the Falkland confrontation, far away from their own theater of operations that they had set around the country. Far away. This Argentinian ship was not a threat to the Royal Navy. It was sailing away from the theater of operations. They killed 323 soldiers. Then they started spinning it. The British did. They said, no. That ship was still a big problem. It posed a threat to our Navy, and we don't agree that it was sailing away. We think it was sailing towards us. You're all liars. We're right. You're wrong. And the last time we did this, Pete Hegseth said, 1945, in Japan, we sunk two Japanese frigates. That was the last time we have done this. I think you can see the lack of similarities in those sinkings and this one. Big difference. So people aren't happy about it. The news isn't running with it. But here's what I'm going to tell you. There will be international interest in this. There will be international interest, let's say. It will start with interest. We'll see who else speaks up about this. We'll see just how loud India gets about this. More importantly, we will see what steps India takes to prevent this again. Or not. Right? You wanted to have a great relationship with the U.S. You wanted to have a great relationship with Iran. Well, now you're seeing just how difficult that could be. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, India. Come out against the U.S., come out and condemn the strike officially through your prime minister. Well, guess who you're going to piss off then? Don't do anything. Allow these next handful of Iranian vessels to go and get sunk in your Indian Ocean after you claim to be the arbiter of peace in that region? Well, you piss off the Iranians then. And that comes with a whole bunch of problems of its own. And we are coming back for overtime because we're going to talk about Kristi Noem. I'll see you in just a few minutes.
It's time for a quick break. Then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett breaks things because someone has to.
Hey, Kristi Noem, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Here's your legacy: corruption and chaos, parents and children tear-gassed, moms and nurses, U.S. citizens getting shot in the face. Now that you're gone, don't think you get to just walk away. I guarantee you, you will still be held accountable.
JB. Boy, he is a rage baiter. That dude, rage baiting level 1000. JB. Okay. All right, let's do it. Kristi, now she hasn't been fired. She hasn't been fired. Let's be clear. She has been removed as Secretary of Homeland Security. Okay? She's been removed. She's been removed. This is coming on the heels of getting absolutely dragged in 2 humiliating appearances before the House and the Senate. She got dragged by these guys. She got dragged by Tillis. She got dragged by other Republicans, Kennedy. She got dragged by them. She looked terrible. When she wasn't lying, she was stuttering and not being able to answer. She was terrible. What did she do? What did she do to lose her job as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security? What did she do to lose her job? Well, first, let's start with her flying love nest with Corey Lewandowski. Bought 2 Boeings, leased a third with an option to buy even more expensive. Well, we're talking $270 million of your and my money to fly around in Boeings that have bedrooms and full bars. She said, quote, high-level deportations. She literally on our dime spent $270 million to fly around with her boyfriend and drink. Okay. We know about her relationship with Lewandowski, but that doesn't get you removed, right? That's almost par for the, Trump high-level official course. What did she really do? She screwed up on what should have been an absolute slam dunk in immigration deportations. Period. Deporting immigrants is their signature issue. Every election cycle, their signature issue. It's funny because they took their other signature issue kind of off the table for themselves by installing this sycophantic Supreme Court who went ahead and made abortion not an issue you can run on anymore. Now the states decide. Now the high-level Republican races cannot be won on the abortion issue or even influenced by it. So you got your other signature issue left, immigration. And Christie screwed the pooch on that. No pun intended. It's funny, JB. He played that. He gave that little video, and other congressmen and lawmakers on the Hill. They're taking pictures with their dog, adding Kristi Noem with their dogs. It's pretty funny. Tillis took her to task on killing the puppies and the goats and stuff. He took her to task. You should check out some of that video. He absolutely decimated her on that. Okay, so she dropped the ball on their signature issue. The Alex Preddy comments, that was a big mistake. Labeling him a domestic terrorist, and in doing so, pointing out the fact that he brought a gun to a protest, and that means he had ill intent and was a domestic terrorist. This was all a big damn problem, especially for the NRA and the Second Amendment nuts embedded within MAGA. They had a big problem with her comments on that, with Trump's comments following that. All of that was a huge mess that they had to walk back and try to, hush up, stop in its tracks. Vance came out and said some things, tried to clean it up. Some other Republicans, some senators came out and said, hey, we get why the NRA is upset about this. Could you chill out, Don? Please. The Preddy comments, big problem. Bovino. Junior KKK, junior Gestapo member Greg Bovino, he was a big problem from beginning to end, culminating in his little viral performance where he scooped up a U.S. citizen from his job at Target, beat him up, bloodied his face, then dropped him off in a Walmart parking lot. That was a problem. That was a problem. The administrative warrants that they used to violate U.S. citizens' Fourth Amendment rights, that was a problem. We don't have to get all into it. You remember they were getting administrative warrants from administrators within DHS rather than going to a judge for a judicial warrant to bust in your front door. Okay, big problem. Facial recognition apps, big problem. Big problem. Scooping U.S. citizens off the street, big problem. Tons of lawsuits, thousands of habeas corpus motions to dismiss in hundreds of courts across the land. All a huge, huge problem. All a huge problem. While she was spending $270 million on her love nest, she was not funding FEMA properly. FEMA had not been funded. Why? Because FEMA requires large amounts of cash at a time to operate. And Christie had implemented almost day one a new DHS policy. Anything over $100K requires my personal sign-off, my personal approval. Well, she's not very good at her job. She pushed things off, kicked things down the road, and did not sign off on millions of dollars of FEMA funding because she just didn't get to it. Too busy spending time with her lover, Corey Lewandowski, on a $270 million jet that we bought for them. What else did she do? What else did she do? Well, she spent over $200 million on ad campaigns. Ad campaigns featuring her and featuring her. And featuring her as a cowboy, featuring her as an ICE agent, putting her face up on posters, billboards, messages that ran at airports and other places. $200 million. Didn't go to Trump about any of it, apparently. And then there's a little, problem of more of our money being misused by Corey. Corey, who is still embedded in the private sector. Corey, who took, the responsibility of handing out all of our contracts in coordination with this ad campaign. Corey, who canceled long-standing contractual agreements with a handful of companies that we had done business with for years, and then handing out brand new contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts to his buddies in the private sector, including a giant multi-million-dollar contract to Kristi Noem's spokeswoman's husband, Trisha McLaughlin's husband and CEO, 20-something million dollar contract to his company in coordination with these ad campaigns. You see a bit of a problem here? She screwed up, and she screwed up, and she screwed up, and she screwed up. Every time you turn around, she made the biggest mistakes possible in the biggest moments. And she was indignant. And she obstructed, lied about all of it. About all of it. Now, here's the thing. She's not fired. She's not fired. What happens when Trump administration officials, lawyers, advisors are fired or spurned by Don? What happens next? I'll give you a second. That's right. They go on TV like Michael Cohen. And they start telling all their tales. They write books. They do interviews. They go in front of Congress. They spill all the beans, and they're honest about Don for the first time in their lives. That's what happens when Don fires you, cuts you out, spurns you. That's what happens. So, like Billy Lang, like Sergio Gore, like Mike Waltz, Bavino, Tulsi Gabbard, you are stripped of your current duty. You are deprived of the limelight, but you're still a part of this administration. You're still beholden to this president. You do not yet have an opportunity to go and be as honest as you may like to be. And that's the case here with Christie. She has been assigned, a different position. I have it here somewhere. Some small position somewhere down the line. Shoot, I thought I had it right. She's been assigned a different position. Okay, she's been demoted essentially. She's been demoted. Now, as she is being demoted, minutes after President Trump posted on social media that she was no longer going to be head of DHS, she went on stage with no knowledge of this at all and gave a little speech at a law enforcement conference in Nashville. And she postured as if she was still the head of DHS in this speech. It was really, really embarrassing. And while that was happening, back in Congress, everybody was mobbing Mark Wayne Mullins. Notable pugilist Mark Wayne Mullins was getting slaps on the back and handshakes and attaboys from all the Republicans because he is now our new head of DHS. Noted pugilist Mark Wayne Mullen. And that congratulatory scene that broke out on the heels of Trump's announcement, that is indicative of why he was chosen. Republicans, forget how the Democrats felt about Kristi Noem. The Republicans hated her. Republicans hated Kristi Noem. And they love them some Mark Wayne Mullins. Oh, yeah. Longtime friend of Donald Trump. You know, he's a part of the Cherokee tribe. He's officially registered in the Cherokee tribe. He's the second member of the Cherokee tribe to serve in the Senate ever. His father is a registered member of the Cherokee tribe. I didn't know that about him. He's a rancher. He's a businessman. He spent 10 years in the House before becoming a senator. Mark Wayne Mullins. By the way, he serves on the Senate Armed Service, Appropriations, Health, Education, Labor, Pensions, and Indian Affairs Committees. That's a lot of responsibility for Mr. Put up your dukes, Mark Wayne Mullins. Republicans love him. Republicans love him. Even John Thune said at one point that Mark Wayne Mullins is the Trump whisperer in the Senate. He is the most effective one to convey Trump's desires in the Senate. He's the one who brings people in. He's the real MAGA whip in the Senate, right? He gets them all in line. He convinces them. He's the Trump Senate whisperer. Okay, now we see it. Now we see why him. We see why him. And I just want you to know that Mark Wayne Mullins, noted amateur pugilist. Oh, he is an ex-karate fighter. Oh yeah. He's an ex-mixed martial art fighter. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You remember this little ditty? I love playing this any chance I get, and I've got my chance now. I just want to remind you who Mark Wayne Mullins is.
Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior, as everybody knows, and it's here. And the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be 2 consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. No, stop it.
Is that your solution, every problem?
No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold it. If we can't, no, I have the mic. I'm sorry.
This is what he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough contempt for Congress. Let's not make it worse.
Thugs and bullies.
All right, so Bernie tries to... Bernie. All right, just wanted to remind you of who noted amateur pugilist Mark Wayne Mullins is. He wanted to get in a fist fight on the Senate floor. That's what he wanted to do. I also want to remind you that he faced a multi-year ethics investigation. So on top of being a little tough guy, he's a criminal. The ethics committee that ran the investigation eventually found that there was $40,000 that he had earned from his private businesses while a House member, and they said, he apologized and he paid back the $40,000. But just want to let you know that he's a criminal. as well as like that might be a little bit far, but I'll picture this guy however I want to paint this guy. You know why? Because he's the worst of the worst. Every time he opens his mouth, every time Mark Wayne Mullins opens his mouth, either a lie or something reprehensible comes spilling out of it. He is, in my opinion, as far as optics is concerned, the absolute worst of the worst in the Republican Party. I put him up with the likes of Tommy Tuberville, Lindsey Graham, Jim Jordan, John Kennedy, just the worst of the worst. They say the worst things in the worst moment. They are reprehensible. They're the worst of the worst. I put him right up in that group, unapologetically. Unapologetically. And he's now our new Secretary of Homeland Security. So I guess, congrats, Mark Wayne. We'll see how many fights you can start there. I'll see you guys Monday. Thanks for hanging around.